Hello everyone, welcome to Kumarji tutorial, and in today's tutorial we are going to learn about animal tissues. Myself Risu Kumar, and you are going to learn about tissues with Risu. So let me introduce about tissue. What is tissue? Tissue is a group of cells, and all these cells perform similar function, and they also have similar structure. So this is known as tissue. Now animal tissue. The tissues which are found in animals, that is known as animal tissue. Now, the animal tissues are broadly classified into four categories: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and the nervous tissue. Now, in this video, we are going to discuss in detail about the epithelial tissue. So, in epithelial tissue, the cells are compactly arranged. The cells are compactly arranged. There is no any intercellular materials. So these cells are compactly arranged, and in case of epithelial tissue, the cells lies on a non-living basement membrane, and this basement membrane provides nutrition to the epithelial cells because these cells are not supplied with blood vessels. So in case of epithelial tissue, basement membrane provides them nutrition. Now the epithelial tissue is found in the external surface or either in the internal surfaces of the organs. For example, our skin is an external surface. So, skin is made up of epithelial tissue. The wall of the blood vessels, the outer wall as well as the inner wall, both are made up of epithelial tissue. So, epithelial tissue are mostly found in the on the surfaces of the organs. So the epithelial tissue is broadly classified into two categories: simple epithelial tissue and compound epithelial tissue. In simple epithelial tissue, the cells are arranged in a single layer. So all the cells are arranged in a single layer, and these cells have nucleus. And the common thing which is found in the epithelial tissue is the non-living basement membrane. So this is simple epithelial tissue. In case of compound epithelial tissue, the cells are arranged in more than one layer. So the cells are arranged in more than one layer, and these cells also have their nucleus at the center. So this is compound epithelial tissue. Now we are going to discuss in detail about the simple epithelial tissue. The simple, on the basis of shape of cells, the simple epithelial tissue is of three types. The first one is the simple squamous epithelial tissue. In case of squamous epithelial tissue, the cells are flat and the cells may be polygonal or hexagonal. So the cells are something like this. And since it is simple epithelial tissue, the cells are arranged in a single layer, and the cells have a prominent nucleus at the center, and these cells lie on a non-living basement membrane. So this simple squamous epithelial tissue is found in those places where gaseous exchange take place. And if you recall, the gaseous exchange take place in the alveoli of lungs. The alveoli of lungs, the membrane of the alveoli of lungs is made up of simple squamous epithelial tissue. And we also know that the alveoli is supplied with blood capillaries, and the wall of blood capillaries is also made up of simple squamous epithelial tissue, and it forms thin membrane because of which diffusion takes place and gaseous exchange occurs. So this is all about simple squamous epithelial tissue. Now the second type of simple epithelial tissue is when the cells are cuboidal in shape, then that is known as simple cuboidal epithelial tissue, and it also has prominent nucleus at the center, sorry, and the cells lies on a non-living basement membrane. So this is simple cuboidal epithelial tissue, and this tissue is found in the germinal epithelial tissue of seminiferous tubule of testes in case of male, while in case of female it is found in germinal epithelium of ovaries. And the upper part of these cells, that is this part, is known as free surface of the tissue, and in case of germinal epithelium it is free, while in some cases it has a projection which is known as cilia, and we know that cilia is a motile structure which helps in the movement of substances. So when cilia is present on the free surface, we call it simple ciliated cuboidal epithelium, and this is found in the respiratory tract and the nephrons of kidneys. So this is all about simple cuboidal epithelial tissue. Now the third type of simple epithelial tissue is when the cells are pillar like. So when the cells are pillar like, we call it simple columnar epithelial tissue. The cells are arranged in a single layer and the cells are pillar like, and the nucleus lies at the base of these cells. So the nucleus lies at the base of the cells, and there is a non-living basement membrane, and in this case also the free surfaces may have cilia, and because of cilia this tissue is known as, when cilia is present on the free surface, it is known as simple ciliated columnar epithelial tissue, and this tissue is found in the fallopian tube of the female reproductive system, and it helps in the movement of zygote towards the uterus after fertilization. So this is the function of simple ciliated columnar epithelial tissue. It is also found in the nephron of kidneys. So the nephron has both ciliated cuboidal as well as ciliated columnar, and in some other simple columnar epithelial tissue the free surfaces may have finger like projection. So I'm not going to erase it, I'm going to make the finger like projection here so you can understand this finger like projection arising from here. And just imagine how our fingers occur from our palm, as like that the finger like projection occurs from these very columnar epithelial cells, and in this case this tissue is known as brush bordered columnar epithelial tissue, and because there is a single layer of cells, so it is known as simple brush bordered columnar epithelial tissue, and it helps in absorption because the surface area is increased, and here this very surface area is increased. You can imagine this with your finger, and because of which absorption, more and more absorption take place. So it is found in those places where absorption take place, that is it is found in our small intestine as well as large intestine, and it is also found in the proximal convoluted tubule of the nephrons. So this is simple brush bordered columnar epithelial tissue. Now the columnar epithelial tissue may also form a structure sorry may also form a structure like this, and this is known as globlet cell, which is found in the stomach and a small intestine, which secrete mucus. So this is the modified form of simple columnar epithelial tissue, which is known as globlet cell. So this is all about the simple columnar epithelial tissue. Now we are going to discuss about the compound epithelial tissue. So in case of compound epithelial tissue, the cells are arranged in more than one layer, and the lowermost cells only lies on a non-living basement membrane, and the free surfaces are free. So we are going to discuss about the three types of compound epithelial tissue on the basis of shape of cells. So here is also compound squamous epithelial tissue. So in this case we have polygonal or hexagonal flat cells, and the difference between simple and compound is that these cells in case of compound epithelial tissue arranged in more than one layer, something like this. And if you could see, you can see that these cells are arranged like tiles on a floor, and because of which it is also known as pavement epithelium or pavement epithelial tissue, and here is the non-living basement membrane. So this is compound squamous epithelial tissue, and it is of two types on the basis of where the upper cells, that is these cells, have keratin or not. On the basis of presence or absence of keratin, the compound squamous epithelial tissue is of two types, that is keratinized and non-keratinized. So when keratin is present in these upper cells, it is known as keratinized compound squamous epithelial tissue, and it is found in those places where friction is more. For example, it is found in our palms, in the sole, that is in our leg, the skin of the sole, and all the skins which cover our body, that are made up of keratinized squamous, compound keratinized squamous epithelial tissue. And when the keratin is absent, it is known as non-keratinized squamous epithelial tissue, which is found in the foreskin of our penis and the vagina, some parts of cervix also, anus also. So that is made up of compound non-keratinized squamous epithelial tissue. Now the second type of compound epithelial tissue is compound cuboidal epithelial tissue, and this tissue is made up of this type of cuboid like cells which are arranged in more than one layer, and these have prominent nucleus at the center, and they lie on a non-living basement membrane. So this is compound cuboidal epithelial tissue, and it is found in pancreatic duct or ducts of glands, salivary gland, etc. The third type is columnar, compound columnar epithelial tissue. We have tall pillar-like cells in case of columnar epithelial tissue, and since it is compound, the lowermost cells lies on non-living basement membrane and the upper cells are something flat, and they take the shape of cuboidal cells, and the above cells, they are something flat in structure. So in case of compound columnar epithelial tissue, the lowermost cells are pillar-like and they are resting on the non-living basement membrane, and the upper cells become something cuboidal, and then above that layer is something flat, and the nucleus is located at the base of the cells in all the cells, where it is cuboid like or flat, anything, it is present at the base. So this is our compound columnar epithelial tissue, and it is found in the pharynx, because during swallowing the pharynx has to be resist more pressure of friction, so it is made up of cuboidal columnar epithelial, sorry, compound columnar epithelial tissue. So this is all about the epithelial tissue. In the next video we will discuss about some specialized epithelial tissue, where we will discuss about the pseudo stratified epithelial tissue and transitional epithelial tissue, and after that we will discuss about glands, which are the modified form of epithelial tissue. And one thing that I want to tell here, that the compound epithelial tissue is also known as stratified epithelial tissue. So don't be confused with compound and stratified. Both are the same thing. There are two words. That is, either you can say compound epithelial tissue or stratified columnar, stratified epithelial tissue. So this is all about the epithelial tissue. That's all. Thank you.